Some wounds don't come from enemies. They come from voices that once called your name, from hands you trusted, from people who knew your childhood. There are betrayals that don't shout. They whisper. And when they come, they leave you wondering if God was watching it all. The morning light spilled softly across the land of Canaan. Sheep stirred, tents breathed with quiet life. In one household, a father watched his son longer than the others. Joseph. Not louder, not stronger, just different. Jacob's eyes followed him wherever he went. Not because Joseph demanded attention, but because love, when unguarded, always shows. A coat was placed over Joseph's shoulders, carefully woven, bright with color, heavy with meaning. Joseph felt its weight, not pride, expectation, and somewhere nearby, silence thickened. His brothers watched. Joseph did not understand the looks. He sensed them, the pauses in conversation, the sudden quiet when he entered a room. At night, dreams came. Fields, sheaves standing upright, others bowing. Stars, the sun, the moon. He woke with his heart racing, unsure if he should speak. But youth has not yet learned restraint. So he told them, and the room grew colder. Joseph laughed nervously, trying to soften the moment. But laughter cannot heal jealousy once it has taken root. He wondered later, alone, did I say too much? No answer came. Days passed. Then one morning, Jacob called Joseph by name. Go, he said. Check on your brothers. Joseph obeyed. The journey was long. Dust clung to his sandals. The sun pressed down without mercy. When his brothers saw him in the distance, the coat gave him away. Bright, unmissable. Words were exchanged. Quiet at first, then sharper. Plans formed where patience had died. Joseph reached them smiling, unaware he was already condemned. Hands grabbed him, rough, familiar. His voice broke as he called their names. The coat was torn away, and the ground rushed up to meet him. Have you ever trusted people who are already planning to let you fall? The pit was deep, cold stone. No echo of mercy. Joseph's breathing slowed as darkness wrapped around him. Above, voices argued, laughed, walked away. He pressed his back against the wall, trying to understand how obedience had led him here. No thunder spoke. No angel appeared. Only silence. And yet, Joseph still whispered God's name. Footsteps returned. Shadows crossed the opening above. A rope lowered slowly into the darkness. Joseph looked up, hope flickering, fear following close behind. He did not know if he was being rescued or sold. The light narrowed. Chains do not always end freedom. Sometimes, comfort does. Some prisons have walls. Others have open doors, soft beds, and smiling faces. And the most dangerous test of faith is not suffering, it is ease. Egypt rose from the sand like a different world. Stone towers, foreign tongues, eyes that never lingered long enough to care. Joseph was pulled through its gates as property. A name spoken once, then forgotten. He was sold again, this time into a house of order. Potiphar's house. Rooms filled with structure. Servants who moved with purpose. Schedules that repeated day after day. Joseph learned quickly. He listened more than he spoke, worked harder than required, carried silence like armor. And slowly, very slowly, the house began to trust him. At night, Joseph lay awake, not because of chains, but because of memory. His father's voice, the hills of home, the moment the pit swallowed the sky. God, was it my fault? No answer came, but Joseph rose each morning anyway. He chose diligence over bitterness, faithfulness over despair, and somehow The work prospered. Joseph noticed it before anyone said it aloud. Whatever he touched thrived. Then the eyes changed. Potiphar's wife watched him longer than necessary. Her voice softened when she spoke his name. At first, Joseph ignored it. Then came the pauses, the closeness, the words that carried weight. Lie with me? Not shouted, not forced. Invited. Joseph felt the tension coil in his chest. This was not the pit. This was not chains. This was temptation dressed as opportunity. He stepped back. My master trusts me, he said. How could I betray him and sin against God? But temptation does not retreat easily. Day after day, the request returned. Joseph began avoiding empty rooms, walking faster, choosing inconvenience over compromise. He was strong, but tired. Have you ever done the right thing and still felt by it? There were moments Joseph wanted to scream. God, I already lost everything. Is this not enough? But faith did not leave him. Not loudly, not dramatically. It stayed quietly in his refusal, in the way he kept choosing God, even when no one would reward him for it. Until one day, there was no one else in the house. The door closed. Hands reached. Joseph ran, leaving his garment behind, leaving his reputation behind, leaving everything. Again, the garment was raised like evidence. Lies were spoken calmly. Anger ignited quickly. Joseph did not argue. He had learned. Truth does not always save you immediately. Chains returned. He was led away once more. This time, not as a slave, but as a criminal. Some prayers are not answered with freedom. They are answered with endurance. Some doors do not open. They close louder than before. And sometimes, the hardest test of faith is not waiting for God to act, but believing he still sees you when nothing changes. The prison smelled of damp stone and old regret. Iron scraped against iron. Chains echoed in narrow corridors. Light entered only where it was allowed. Joseph was led inside without ceremony. No trial. No defense. Just another body, counted and forgotten. The door closed behind him. Silence followed, not peaceful, but heavy. Days blurred together. Morning without promise. Night without relief. Men groaned in their sleep. Others whispered names they missed. Joseph listened. In the darkness, questions returned. God, how many times must I lose everything? Was obedience worth this? He replayed the moment he ran. The garment left behind. The lie spoken so easily. Bitterness knocked, softly at first. You could have chosen differently. You could have protected yourself. Joseph clenched his jaw. He did not know how long he would be there, but he knew who he would not become. So he worked again. He helped where help was needed, spoke when comfort was required, stood when others collapsed. And slowly, the prison noticed. 2 new prisoners arrived. Important men, nervous men, a cupbearer, a baker. Sleep left them restless. Dreams disturbed their peace. One morning, Joseph saw it on their faces. Why do you look so troubled today? They spoke of visions, symbols, fear of meaning. Joseph hesitated. He had not dreamed in a long time. Interpretations belong to God, he said quietly. Tell me your dreams. He listened carefully. And then he spoke. One dream carried restoration. The other, judgment. The words were heavy, but true. Days passed. Just as spoken, events unfolded. One man restored. The other executed. Joseph's heart pounded. Hope stirred again, dangerously. Have you ever thought, this time, things will change? only to wait longer than you expected? As the cupbearer prepared to leave, Joseph stepped closer. "Remember me," he said. "When it goes well with you, remember me." The man nodded. Hope leaned forward. The cell felt lighter. But days passed, then weeks, then seasons, and no footsteps came for Joseph. No message, no summons, only the same walls, the same chains. Joseph learned something there, something deeper than dreams. God may speak in moments, but he shapes us in waiting. One night, Joseph sat alone. The prison slept. He rested his head against the wall and closed his eyes, not in despair, in resolve. If God had not forgotten him, then this silence still had purpose. And somewhere far beyond those walls, a king was beginning to dream. Destiny does not knock politely. Sometimes it breaks the silence, without warning. After years of waiting, after prayers spoken into stone walls, everything can change between one breath and the next. Morning light crept into the palace of Egypt. Pharaoh stirred from uneasy sleep. Sweat clung to his brow. Dreams had chased him through the night, vivid, relentless. Cows rising from the Nile, strong, then devoured by the weak. Ears of grain, full, then swallowed by the thin. The images refused to fade. Pharaoh summoned his magicians, wise men, interpreters of symbols. They spoke, but their words carried no weight. Fear settled into the room. Then a memory surfaced. The cupbearer stepped forward slowly, guilt heavy in his voice. "There is a man," he said, "a Hebrew, in the prison, Joseph." Chains were unlocked hurriedly. Water poured. A razor passed over skin grown rough with years. Joseph stood once more in clean garments, but his heart beat like a prisoner still. God, is this it? Or another false hope? He entered the throne room, without rehearsal, without assurance, only faith. Pharaoh spoke plainly. "I have heard you can interpret dreams." Joseph paused, not from fear, but conviction. "I cannot," he said. "But God will give Pharaoh the answer." The room stilled. Dreams were told again. Joseph listened carefully, each image unfolding meaning within him. Then he spoke. Years of abundance. Then famine. Severe, unforgiving. A plan followed, measured, wise, urgent. Store the grain. Prepare the land. Save lives. Silence fell. Pharaoh rose from his seat. "Can we find anyone like this man?" he said. "In whom is the Spirit of God?" Joseph's breath caught. What would you do if the moment you waited for finally arrived, and everyone was watching? The ring was placed on Joseph's hand. Robes draped over shoulders once bound in chains. A new name spoken. Authority given. Joseph did not smile wildly. He remembered the pit, the prison, the silence. This was not triumph. This was responsibility. As he rode through Egypt, people bowed, but Joseph's heart bowed elsewhere, to the God who had spoken, even when no one else listened. Years passed, granaries filled, plans succeeded. Then the skies hardened, fields failed, hunger spread across lands and borders. One day, from a distance, Joseph saw men approaching Egypt for grain. Travel worn, familiar. He froze. He knew those shoulders, those voices, those faces, and they did not recognize him. Some moments return without warning. A voice you buried, a face you never forgot, and suddenly the past stands in front of you, not asking for forgiveness, not knowing who you've become. They bowed before him. Dust clung to their clothes. Hunger lined their faces. Men from Canaan, requesting grain from Egypt's governor. Joseph stood still. Robes of authority hid the tremor in his hands. Gold did not quiet the pounding in his chest. He recognized them instantly. The way Reuben stood slightly forward, Judah's cautious eyes, the familiar tension between brothers. They did not recognize him. Not the boy, not the dreamer, not the brother they sold. Joseph turned away, just enough to breathe. God, is this what you were preparing me for? Anger rose first, sharp, immediate, then grief. Years lost. A father's face he had not seen. A younger brother left behind. Joseph remembered the pit, the laughter, the rope. Power whispered, "Now you decide." He steadied himself. Joseph spoke harshly. "Where do you come from?" They answered quickly, truthfully. He tested them. Questions, accusations, a demand they bring their youngest brother. Fear flickered across their faces. Joseph watched closely. Were they the same men? Later alone, he wept, silently. His body shook with tears he had delayed for years. Still, he waited. If you had the power to confront those who broke you, would you choose justice or mercy? When Benjamin arrived, Joseph's composure cracked. His own blood, untouched by betrayal. Love surged faster than restraint. At the final test, Judah stepped forward, not to accuse, but to offer himself. "Take me instead," he said. Joseph saw it then. Change, repentance without words, growth shaped by regret. God had not only preserved Joseph, he had been working on them too. Joseph could not hold it anymore. "Leave us," he said. The room emptied, and then the truth fell like rain. "I am Joseph." Silence shattered. Fear seized them. But Joseph stepped closer. "You meant evil against me," he said softly. "But God meant it for good." Tears replaced terror. Forgiveness stood where hatred once lived. Outside, famine still raged. But inside that room, something greater had been restored.